Hey guys, can you hear me? Let me know if the audio and everything is fine. All right then. Um, so last week we did the rotation, and there was some problem that we faced basically, if I remember correctly. And right after the stream, after dinner, I just had a look at the problem, and because the eye was rotating with an offset, and I realized that after debugging for a while, I realized that the problem was with the way Unity's late update works, and I can show you what I mean by that. So, what happens in the late update is that between two objects, you are not able to really capture the previous. Are you able to? Yeah. Yeah. Between late updates, you are not able to get the. How should I explain? Okay. So in Unity, there's a lot of things happening between update and late update, and the problem that I was facing was that we were facing was that I was unable to get the information of the offset from the previous frame basically because late update works after update. So when I debugged, I realized that the calculations were wrong. So I created a manager, like a hierarchy manager, which just initializes the bones in a particular order, and that kind of fixed the issue of the rotation. So now, if I move the cube, it should. One second, let me just see what's the. I forgot the key press. Yeah, it's one. So if I press one, now the rotation and everything is correct for the eye as well. So it was just a like the way Unity's late update works problem rather than the calculation problem, which is what I was also confused about actually. So that being said, all this has been implemented in the game, so I think we can move on to something else for today. And what shall we do today? That's the question. I'm gonna create a new scene. So all right, we have the ground. So I needed a feature where when you would hover on objects, we could highlight those characters. So we need that feature in the game, of course. So let's do that today. So the way we are going to do that is let's just drop a character from the game. So let's drop a Yodha character for now. All right. Let's just drop. no, we just want the depots of this character, right? Completely. We just need the character. All right. So what we will be doing today is when we highlight, when we hover on the Yodha or any character for that matter, we want to show an indication for the hover and for the selection. So the way we are going to implement that is, let's take a screenshot. Let's open Photoshop. And in the meantime, if you guys have any questions, let me know. So let's just create a quick mock on how we want. So we'll do something like this. We'll make an effect where there is a globe beneath, something like this. And so there is a globe beneath like this, and also there is a glow like this basically for the hover. So something like this, and so we'll do something like this. Obviously I'm just doing this a little rough, and we'll also have a Fresnel effect, which will go like this maybe. So Fresnel effect to show that you have hovered. Oh, did I do it in the same layer? So the Fresnel effect would be something like this. So we'll have to do some shader work, and yeah. So, oh, why is the screen not working? The screen effect. Let's just brighten it. Wait, why is this bro not working? Image hue saturation. It is working, right? Anyway, so I'll just multiply it like this. So the idea would be to have this kind of a Fresnel effect on the character as well when you glow, and change it into different colors based on whom you hover on. So if it's a Yodha, if it's like your own team, then it'll be green color, and if it's the enemy team, it'll be red color. So we need a bunch of stuff. So first thing that we'll need to do is detect the character on the screen, and for this scene, let's just create a quick script for that. I just created a new. Oh shit. Folder. Let's call this stream. Script. Let's call this debug input. Not debug. Detect update. So the first thing that we'll do right now is we'll shoot a raycast through our mouse so that we can detect the Yodha if we, if the raycast touches the collider, and that's something that we'll do. So we need a collider for this character. So let's just put a collider. This. Right. For now, let's just create this collider, and now we want some variables. First we want a ray called ray, and then we'll create a ray hit, and we'll create a ray ray is equal to, okay, we need the camera as well, right? So for now let's just take camera.main, and we'll do how would you do this? I think screen point today, yes, and then we'll do input dot mouse position. So basically we are going to, wherever we are pointing on the screen, we'll convert that into ray, and the position of that would be taken from the mouse position, and we'll get a ray basically. And using that ray, we'll check physics.raycast. We're going to use the ray, we're going to use out parameter as ray hit, and then we are going to use 500 units for now. And then if this raycast hits, then we are going to do if ray dot collider, no sorry, if ray hit dot collider is not equal to null, means we've hit something. So debug dot log, sorry, we have hit ray hit. This is just to debug for now, and I'm creating this script purely for debugging, like for this scene particularly, so that I can just get on with the effects. But just wanted to, so are we hitting? Oh, I forgot to connect the script. So let's just create a managers, just up. What was it called? Detect Yodha. Okay. Display. Let me open the console window. Okay, so we are hitting the chord right now. So you can see we are hitting the chord, and now we are hitting the this object basically. It's called this. We can call this Gajtant. Now it will say Gajtant. So we are hitting. So what we don't want to do is that we don't want to constantly poll the same object if we have already polled that object, right? So the way we can do that is that we can just cache the game object for now. I mean, we should not cache the game object, but since we are just doing this for the effects, let's just do it like that. And we're gonna say if, okay, we're gonna call this previous game object, or let's just do collider, and this will be previous collider. And if previous collider is not equal to ray hit dot collider, then we can do this basically. So, and we can cache previous collider ray hit. So I'm just making sure that we don't again and again poll the same collider. So if it's not the previous collider that we have hit, then we can just, cache that and poll it once, and then it will never be called again until you get a different collider, basically. So let's see if this works, and then we will. So we have the chord. So you can see that now the chord is only being called once. Like if I hover out and then if I, okay, so it's never getting cleared basically. Okay, I'll do that. So you can see that even if I hover this um, character object which is named as this, it does not call again and again. It's a little more performant than before. Not a little more, but it's much better than before where it's not being called again and again and again. So, but we need to fix something. We need to clear the cache if we are not hovering. So what we'll do is that do else if previous collider is not equal to null, previous collider equal to. So just clearing, if we are not hovering on anything, just clear the previous collider basically, so that we can again start polling. So this works. All this is done. I'm gonna call him just for the sake of it, so that you know that we're hitting. And this is the ground. So let's do that. So now we're hitting the ground once. Oh, the ground. We're hitting Gajdant. We're hitting the ground. Hitting the ground again. So if I go out and if I do this, I'm hitting the ground again. Gajdant. So our detection is working fine, I believe. All the things are working fine. Now what we want to do is basically when I hover on the character, I want the glow effect to happen. So I'm going to create the glow effect quickly. So let's do that. I'm going to do a simple create a chord. This is going to be, I already have a texture which is a glow texture, so I think I can use that texture itself for glow. Let's see. So I have the glow texture, so I can have something in the bottom, right? So this works. And then, alright, I have this for the glowing setup. So this we can call this as glow. I can create another chord. Another chord. This can be the highlight. Guys, if you have any questions, let me know. The highlight can be this. Then we can use a gradient. Do I have the gradient with me? I just need a different I have created a gradient for that. Give me a moment. In Doppler. What gradient will that be? VFX. I'm just gonna create a gradient bottom. Let me just create a new material then. We'll call this gradient highlight, and then we're just gonna slap this here. Huh? Okay, forgot to actually. Let's just create a simple texture. No, not this one. Let's just create a. So this is my own shader that I've created for the project, with which we can do a number of things. I'll show you. So um, so one thing that you can do is that you can dissolve. So you can see this, what the shader does. There's a dissolve parameter, and I believe there is vertex offset too. Yeah, if I do this, so I have this kind of top down effect that I can enable with this shader, and I can do a bunch of stuff. I can even have like masks, so I can show only the center part. So there is a mask that is applied around mask. We don't need this. This is enough for now. So, and this shader also has depth fade. So that means that when so if I don't have the depth fade on, you can see that this hits, you can see the seam when the chord hits the, between the raycast and collision, which one performance heavy? Collision, right? um you mean collision between two objects, or because raycast is at the end of the day also using collision? It all depends on how you are architecting the collision for the most part, but it depends on how you're using your raycast also. So if you don't know how to use raycast in a performant way, then raycast also can be very expensive. um, so it all depends. The main problem that happens with just using two colliders or collision is that if your fps is varied, sometimes based on the collision, what do you call it, the amount of, I forgot the name, your collision can miss. So it's always better to use a raycast to detect collision. At least that's what I do, because sometimes what happens is that if there is a fps lag or something, the collision can skip and it can move past the other collider that you're trying to collide with. So generally I tend to use a raycast, but when it comes to performance, it all depends on how you're actually architecting and engineering the solution for the problem that you're facing. So coming back to the task at hand, so I also have this depth fade for my so you can see that uh, now there is no seam, so it looks like a light hitting the object. If I turn this off, you can clearly see the chord penetrating. So this, I'm using the depth buffer to make sure that the collision is not visible basically. So now we have this code, and obviously we'll write a script so that it always looks at the camera, so that we don't have this problem of like it looking like this. So it'll always look at the camera wherever the camera is, and we'll create a script for that. But for now, let's just make this effect. So the idea would be that through script, based on the object type, the color and everything will change. And what I mean by that is this color over here. So if we want, like if it's a Yodha, then it'll be green. If it's enemy, it'll be red, and that's how we're gonna do it. So okay, so let me just first set up this effect. So we'll call this unit. Let's call this object highlight, right? Or for now, let's just call this object highlight is fine. And now we want, so let's create a script for that. If you have any questions, let me know, guys. Or if you don't understand what we are doing over here, let me know. Where is the stream folder? Alright, so this one goes here. Let's create another script and we'll call this debug object highlighter. Alright, so we have the debug object highlighter. So now what we're going to do is we are going to, so Unity, we can use the, we'll need the mesh render. Call this mesh render private void initialize, and we'll make this public. And okay, so one thing, hi Graph, how are you doing? And so one thing we need to bear in mind is that when we create, see this, so we can't directly use this material, refer to this material and change it, because what will happen is that, let's say we have two gradient highlighters, and I believe if I change the color of this, both of them will change, right? So we need to create an instance of this material, so that we are not actually working on the original material and we are actually working on the instance of that material. So the way we are going to do that is I'm gonna debug object highlighter. Yeah, I'm going to serialize the, okay, it's not saved. And I'm gonna, there are two chords, right? So I'm going to make this array, and I'm gonna drag this in. Okay, so I have both of this thing, both of the mesh renderers, and I'm gonna create do mesh renderers give material? Let's see. Int I is equal to 0, I is less than plus. I'm gonna cache the mesh renderers material and then create a new one if possible. And let's just have material, and let's just cached materials, and let's just create cached. We'll create a cache material based on how many are new. Actually, do we need the cache materials is the question. I think we need. I don't exactly know. Let's just go with the flow right now and int mesh render count. 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 Let me just check if it's creating an instance or not. No, it's not creating an instance, right? So we will create an instance now. Give me a moment. Oh, it was serialized, right? See. Oh shit! Sorry. So private void start initialize. Okay. Then we are gonna press the play button and see if it's getting cached. So we are getting the instance of the material, as you can see over here. So this material is the one that we'll work on. So this will purely be the material for this squad. So let me give you an example. So let's say there were two objects over here, and if you press the play button, so now what we can do is that we can work on this material itself, and it won't change the other material. So if there are like 3 or 4 characters, we can make sure that, you know, we can exactly change the highlight of one, of whichever one that we want, basic. So let's assume we have like 3 different types of characters, and we want the highlight to be green, purple and red, or whatever color that you want, and we can do that over here. So that's why I cached the material. And now, so this is just my initialization code for the script. I generally don't like to put things, give Unity the ability to, you know, initialize stuff. I generally have a manager or a global manager which initializes all the scripts based on the order that I want. I know that there is a setting called script execution order, but I generally tend to use my own a mono behavior script to initialize and then load the game, basically. So now that we have this, let's just create a collection. Okay, I'm gonna create a struct highlight color data, and then serializable, then public. Let's just create a public enum called type. Oh shit. What the hell happened here? Public enum, and let's just call it types. For now, this is called none. This is called Yodha, and then enemy. And here we're gonna use type, and then we'll call it types, and then public color, color. And what we are going to do is that this is something that we'll expose to the player, to myself, who is the designer. And yep. So the point of doing this is that, let's just delete this. Now I have a collection of color. Oh, sorry. This. I'll have a collection of colors that I can create, and later I'll change this into scriptable object. So for the Yodha, I'll use green color, and for the enemy, for now, I'll use the red color. And oh, I've not yet saved the scene. Let's just do this. Dev debug or dev stream. What is happening? Yeah. So once this is done, let's just go to collider. What was I even doing? I forgot. Okay, so now we know that we have a script which detects the we have this script, we have the detection script, and we have this collider script. So what we can do is that we'll have to create a move function, not move but set position function, which sets the transform dot position of this object to the vector 3 target position. And now what we can do is that we can call, and we'll create, because this is going to be, for now let's just expose this to the public static instance, instance. And now what we can do is that we'll have access to this guy. Hey digital art, how's it going? How is it going? So now we are going to we'll have to detect that. So if collider is not equal to null, if debug. All right, so if debug, no, debug dot dev highlighted manager instance dot set position is equal to a hit dot collider dot transformed position. Let's see if this works. So for now, let's just move this guy over here, and if I hover, then this guy should position itself. Nope, it's not working for some reason. Oh boy. Ugh. What is the null? Oh, there's a null reference. Oh, okay, we forgot to create instance is equal to this. And then we're gonna set. Okay, so you can see because the ground also has collider. Let's just turn that off because it's going to go crazy. So you can see that it hits there. So what we'll do is that let's set the ground to 0, 0, and now let's see what happens. Okay, so it's coming there, right? There is another collider. Why is it going up? Is there another collider somewhere? There is box collider. Okay, let's just debug quickly and see what is happening. Oh, okay, sorry. So these objects themselves have colliders, so that's why let's just remove them. And now I believe, yeah, now we have this. So just to give you guys an example, I guess this should also work. So if I have two of these objects, so you can see now I can highlight both of them, basically both of these characters, but because they are floating, that kind of looks funny. So we're gonna reorganize this over here, and then we're gonna move the camera close to the objects. Align with view, maybe a little better. View. Okay, so now we have there is Z fighting going on. Z fighting means when two objects are in the same coordinate, the transparent object does not know which one to render. So we'll fix that by just raising these guys a tad bit. So we're gonna raise them a little bit, and now I believe there should not be any Z fighting. So now it's working fine, and camera is still a bit wonky, so we'll move the camera over here. All right. So now we have the object hovering. So now what are we going to do? Now let's change the color of the highlighter itself. So the way we are going to do that is I'm going to create another function, public void update color, and we're going to pass the types. Have you been to any game development school or anything? No, actually I'm a self-learned well, for art I went to this institute called MAC back in 2000, from where I did a diploma. It was a 2-year diploma. This was back in 2007. And yeah, I just did a diploma in 3D art. So I'm primarily a character artist, and I'm an artist actually. And coding is something that I learned on my own. So just, yeah. So what we're going to do is that we're going to create a function through which we're going to get the highlight color data. So get color from data, and we're going to pass types, type, and if okay, sorry, for int I is equal to 0 highlight color data dot length plus count I dot type, and we're gonna just loop through this collection and see if we get the right type, and then we'll just get the color from here. And this can be a private function. So we're gonna get the color. Sorry, highlight color data I dot color. But if we don't get it, then we are gonna pass the color white. Oh no, let's do a very horrible color. Let's do magenta, so that we know that there is a problem in the print log data fail. We'll say unable to find color in the data. All right, so now we have the color. So now we have the color, get color from data, pass it as type, and we'll get the color over here. And now we're going to set the color in our shader basically. And the way we're going to do that is that we have the instances of the cached materials. So what we are going to do is for int I is equal to 0, I is less than cached materials dot length plus plus, and cached count, and we can do this. And now we're going to cache material.I set color, and then we're going to set color in the shader basically. So the way we can set color in the shader is we need to know the shader variables basically. So the shader that we are using for highlight and glow is the custom shader that we created, and this I believe uses the color. Let's see what it uses. So if you just select the shader, so this is the shader that we're using. And if you see all the variables, so we are using this variable called the color variable. So this variable is something that we'll have to set to whichever color that we want, right? So then what we can do is that we can pass the string and we can pass the color. But it's not that performant to pass a string. Like, it's never performant. Like, strings are horrible actually for garbage collection and for performance as well. Like, performance as in every single character is like 1 byte, and then the computer has to read through the whole thing, parse it, and then do it. So it's always not good to use strings in real time, you cache it. So the way another way to do this is that you can pass an int also. So if you see this function, you can see that you can use an int, which is an ID, and you can use a string. So int is basically a hash of the ID. So the way you can get that is, let's just cache that and call it private int color ID. And sorry, let's take the naming. See, so color ID is equal to, what is it called? I forgot the API. Shader dot get. What do you think is a better path? A game programming bachelor's degree in those game school, or a general CL engineering with degree with self study? Well, to be honest with you, I never went to a game development school. I went to 3D art school, and I learned a lot of. So it helped me access to. For me personally, it helped, going over there helped me get access to a lot of different softwares which are not easily available back then. This was in that during 2007, 2006, and those times. And the YouTube tutorials were also not that great back then. So the um, only way to get acclimated with the different softwares was through these schools basically, and that kind of helped me a lot. I didn't particularly learn how to create art, but I got to learn the tools which helped me create art basically. So I believe any school can be really good if you can reap the benefits out of it, which is the kind of people that you meet, and the environment. You don't really go to quote unquote learn over there, but you go to get the exposure, and most of the learning you have to do by yourself anyways. But because you have professors around, you have the whole ecosystem around you, you can do that learning at a very faster pace if you know how to leverage the benefit out of it. And that's my take on any school for that matter. Generally, I was never told how to create this particular set of character, or this is how you create. They just taught us how to use different kind of tools, and then we used our creativity and then practiced those tools for a while, like for a lot of hours, and then slowly and steadily we improved basically. And for coding as well, I think coding or art, a little it's all the same in the sense that you need to know the fundamentals. And I would recommend starting with CS, starting with C language, and learning how computers actually work, and even look at assembly basically. Or you can do Microsoft Assembly, MASM, and you can actually see how the computer uses registers, and how things work underneath, how the processor calls the functions and things like that, because those are the tools that you would need to create the games basically. And then you can leverage Unity or C sharp and things like that, and create whatever you want. I think that is the best way, rather than just using an abstracted language or a high level language like C sharp and this Python or whatever you guys use or everyone uses, and then just creating and hacking something together. So I mean, to get to your point of general engineering degree with self study or those schools, both are fine. Any place that teaches you the tools is will benefit you, so long as you know how to leverage what they are, the tools, the if they are teaching you the fundamentals basically. And but it's like 30% you can gain from there, and 70% you have to do it by yourself. And these schools can really speed that process up. But no school can teach you how to code per se, but they can teach you the fundamentals of fundamentals of programming, which you can leverage and then use it to whatever um, stream that you want to use for, in my opinion at least. I hope that answered your question. Because I sometimes get annoyed when hiring people as well, because everyone calls themselves programmers, but then there are times where I ask them what's the difference between an int and an unsigned int, and they can't answer basically, or how to do simple things like bit masking, and they'll be like, what is that? And then I'm like, oh my god. Okay, so get hash. What was that function, man? I forgot the function. There was one function which I could use to property to id, I believe. Sorry, property to id. Yeah, I can now pass the string, and this will give me a color id basically. And now instead of using a string, I can just use that color id to cache, to set the material. So let's see if this works. Let's see. So now we're gonna update pj highlighter instance update color. Let's just hack this for now and call this debug object highlighter. Where is that? Debug object highlighter dot types, I believe, dot Yodha. This we should detect this type. We eventually, what I'll do is that I already have a Yodha script, and I'll look at that script, I'll look at the type, and then I'll pass this type instead of hard coding it, and then it should work fine. But for now, let's just hard code it to Yodha always, and let's just see if it works. No, it does not. It's not working. Why is it not working? Update color, cached material, set color. Let me just see what's the problem. Is it caching the material? Yeah, the materials are cached. Let me just see if the console is working. Yep, this is also working. See what is happening here. So it goes here. It's getting the color. Oh, so it's setting the color, but I believe it's not setting the color of the right object. It is changing the color of that. Let me see what's the problem. Gradient highlight. Let me just see if this guy, the update is working. Give me a moment. Oh shit. Instead of using this is wrong. Oh. Now let's see. I don't know why I was calling it a child. It should be color. Oh. Yep. So we have the color updated right now, but the main problem right now is that the bottom shader is different than the top shader, so it does not have that variable that I was talking about. it uses a different name called main color. So let's just go ahead and use the same kind of a shader for this guy also. So let's create another material gradient highlight. This we can't use, so let's just call this gradient, gradient glow, and here we pass the gradient, and I'll just put this debug so that I don't use this debug. Let's just see. Of course the textures are not working. Not the textures, but let's use the different texture. See, so now we have everything that we need. Now the only problem is that when we hover outside, you can see that the highlight does not turn off, so we'll need to fix it. How will we fix that? It's not that difficult actually. So we have this and we can update the color. We can create a function called disable, public disable, and then just be like void, and then we can cache the color actually. We'll just cache this over here, main color, and then so in order to disable it, we'll just set the alpha to 0.0f, and then we're going to do the same thing that we did over here. In fact, I'm going to create a function for this called private void set color, and this will take the color and then paste this, and this you see set color. So this will update the color if you want. This will set the color. This will disable the color. So that means set color and the one that will enabling would be done by another function called enable. This will set the. So now we should have this one. We'll call it set debug object highlighter previous debug highlighter, and we will cache previous debug object highlighter is equal to no, sorry, we don't need this, my bad. We'll just do this. Highlighter instance save, and when the game starts, we want this to be disabled. Can we disable it? Will we have the main color during update? Get color from data. Let's do one thing. Let's cache the yeah, let's just let's just set the main color to white for now. Color.white, and then let's set color to main So when the game starts, we will disable, just disable the so this is what we'll do. We'll just disable the highlighter. So let's see if it works. So when we start the game, it will not be enabled anymore, and now you can see that it turns off, right? And now if I go to two different things, it turns off as well. Okay, now so we have the disabling, enabling. Why there is a problem that I'm seeing right now, which is I think it's penetrating, right? So let's just fix the penetration by setting this a little up so that we don't have this problem. If I press the play button, yeah, we'll fix that. We'll fix the bottom, this thing. Actually, I have in the shader itself, I have this feature where I can turn on the vertical gradient and you can see I can do this. If you want to see a stream where I share how to create your own shaders, let me know if that is something that you guys would be interested in. So now it's too light now. Why is the glow so light? Oh, the fade is enabled, that's why. Now it should be brighter. Yeah, it should be brighter. Let's bring the brother a little down. Let's see how it looks. All right. So now we have the highlight working. Now let's change the Fresnel color of these characters basically. And the way we can do that, or let's move the, I don't want this to snap. So roughly. So what we would ideally want to do is that we should be like automatically it should smoothly move from here to here if I hover over here. So let's do that. Let's move. That's not that difficult to do it actually. We can do private eye enumerator, stop moving. Should be the move time. Let's expose that. Sphere, move, float. Let's just try this arm for now. Let's just keep it like that. And then we'll do transform dot. Okay, we'll cache the start position. And we'll get the target position from somewhere, and we'll say vector 3 dot lerp up, and then we'll do start position target position, CT divided by move time, then yield return null, CT plus yield time dot time, and then transform dot position is equal to target position, just to be safe. And we're going to cache the move routine somewhere. Then we're going to set the move routine to null. Then we're going to create a position. Start moving. Target pause. And we're going to cache the move routine over here. And then we're going to say if move routine is not equal to null, stop coroutine. Ugh. Come on, man. Move routine. And this should be start coroutine. So when you set the position, it should set it to the target position from the start position. So let's see if this works. So this should slowly move the object from one point to the other, and we'll see if it works. So no, it does not work for some reason. Why is it not working? Why is it not working? Set position. Oh, sorry. That is why it was not working. Now let's see. Yep. Shrink. All right. So that looks a little weird. Let's do it like this. Yeah. So we have. So basically, since it's a turn-based game, we want to make sure that when we change, like if we use the controller and we press the right analog stick or the left analog stick, or if you use the mouse, it should feel a little interactive rather than being super rigid. So, but it still is not looking good, and I know why it's not looking good, because enable and disable is setting the color directly, and if we can set it through enumerator, that would be better, like it's lerping the color. So let's do that. Start changing color, and then we can call it color, target color, and then we do again the whole boring stuff. Here we can do color, start color. So the start color would be, no, actually we'll only change the alpha, right? So start changing. We'll not change the alpha. We'll change the alpha. Sorry. And alpha is a float. So target alpha. And then mobile CT is less than. Let's call this alpha time, and let's just use and the same old stuff. City plus equal to time dot delta time. We'll get the first color. So start alpha. Since we're going to use the main color itself, we'll just stuff the main color as start alpha, and we'll change the main color alpha from math f dot float. No, sorry, math f dot lerp, and then we're going to use start alpha, and then target alpha, city alpha time. Then we're going to set the color by saying that set color, set the main color. So now, and then we're gonna set this is the main color dot a is equal to target alpha, just to be and we'll create another routine just to make sure that we have the control for the routine, basically. And then we're gonna set that routine to null. Alright, so now it's going to be super simple. Instead of directly setting the color and doing all this nonsense, I'm going to do if alpha routine is not equal to null, stop coroutine, and then I'm going to do alpha routine is equal to start coroutine, then I'm going to start changing alpha. So if we have to disable, that would be 0.0 alpha, right? So it's going to slowly set the alpha to 0. Here we're going to do the inversion of it. Invert it. And now let's see if this works. Let's do 0.25. Will it work? So now you can see that it's disabling in a much more quote unquote smoother way. So now we have the movement and we have the turn off, but I think it's too slow. So let's just do this. Even the movement is very slow, yeah. So let's do it like that. So everything is working. I think the power of the ground is the ground one is too powerful, as in the ground glow is too powerful. So we might have to, instead of setting up both the alphas to be both the colors to be same, we can slightly tweak it so that we get a much more controlled effect, basically. I think that's something that we might have to do now. What I mean is that instead of having these how can we do it? I think we'll have two mesh renders. One is for the glow render, and other would be the quad render. No, sorry, not quad, but highlight renders. And we will explicitly set this to two materials. So we'll have glow matte and we'll have highlight matte. And now what we're going to do is that instead of doing all this nonsense, we are going to just set this up, glow render dot material, and what is that called? Highlight matte is equal to highlight render dot material. So we'll have both of them like this, and instead of setting colors like this, we're gonna be setting color like highlight matte, set color. I think we'll need two colors now. Color. Let's see. Color. How can we do this? And I'll clean the names and everything later. I'm just worried about the features right now. Oh, sorry. So instead of just setting the main colors, we'll set both the colors. So now in this we'll have two different types of colors. One is the glow color and other is the highlight color. And what we'll do is that we'll get two colors from the struct. We can get color from here like this. It's quite simple. We can use the ref keyword. Do you guys know what the ref keyword does? Does anyone know what the ref keyword does in C#? Highlight color. Is equal to highlight color is equal to highlight color data highlight color. Wait, I want to run anything. So basically, instead of returning, you can use the ref keyword as a pointer, and then because generally in C# your arguments are generally a copy. You pass the argument as a reference. So it's like a pointer and you can change. Yeah, that's true. Correct. What Graph is saying. So because I needed two things to be returned, I just sent the pointer of the colors and changed it if I get them inside my function. So here it's going to be a different glow color. Oh, this does not. Oh, this works, right? But I'm not going to do this crappy stuff. I didn't know that worked in. I thought it only worked in C. That kind of syntax, but highlight color, and then this changes to type, and then I present glow color with highlight color. But so now I'm setting the color for each and every, for both the things, both the material, and what am I going to do now? I am going to, I forgot what I was doing. yeah, I was setting this up. Okay, so this main color alpha. Okay, I'll have to cache two main colors now. Need to cache this guy. Glow main color. So these will be the cached variables. This is just to make sure that my global variables are initialized. And then I'll set this over here, set color. Actually, instead of I can just use glow main color, highlight main color, then glow main. Oh, yeah. And I don't need this. So I can do this. Now the start alpha. Okay. Start changing alpha. So I need to change the alpha of both of these things, right? So let's just have two variables start. Glow alpha and start highlight alpha, and then we can do glow main color array, highlight color array, start glow to target alpha. This can be glow main color, and then do highlight main color array. Same thing, the only difference is this, and you can do start highlight alpha, and now we can do glow main color, highlight main color, and here too we can set the glow main color dot a to target alpha, and highlight main color dot a to target alpha, and then we can just set the glow main color, highlight main color. So now we have both the routines, and oh, I changed a lot of stuff. We should not do that. We should not technically do so many changes. Instead, we should always make sure to change a little bit and then verify the code. But since I'm working alone, who cares? Should work. Should not be a problem. So we need two different colors or alpha values. I mean, later we might use different colors too. So I want the highlight color to be as bright as possible, and I want the glow color to be little faded. And for enemy, let's not worry about enemy right now because we don't really care about the enemy today. So if this works, okay, glow matte and this thing, all this will be filled. Okay, so this is highlight render and this is the glow render. Let's see. Okay, so now we have two different colors, I believe. No? Is it still super bright? Let's see. Oh, it's still super bright. How is it? Oh. Oh. 1 second. 1 second. The enable is increasing it to full value. Okay. Oh. Okay, so let's do one thing. Instead of target alpha value, let's just create two target alpha values. Or I can do one thing. Instead of stating the target alpha values like this, let's just create a target glow target alpha value, and highlight target alpha value, and we can actually set the range to 0 to 1 for this guy, and set the range to 0 to 1f. And then what we can do is that we don't really care about, so we want the glow alpha to be this much, we want the highlight alpha to be, let's say, 1, and we don't really care about this. This can be full, and what we do is that instead of saying over here the target alpha is, okay, we'll have to still do this actually. Target glow alpha float target highlight alpha. And here we can just target highlight alpha. Now this will cry. So for enabling for glow alpha, we'll use target glow alpha and highlight alpha. Why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? What is the name of glow target alpha? Sorry. Glow target alpha. Highlight. So we'll pass that, and for 0 0 we'll just do both. For both we'll do 0 0. So now let's see. Yep. So now we have a more of a dull looking color, and we can change this actually. Okay, there is a problem actually. Why is that happening? Oh, we'll have to check. Target. Oh, target highlight alpha. Now it should work fine. Are you guys able to follow what I'm doing, or is it too boring? I don't know. I mean, this is what development looks like for the most part. So we have this. We now have two different colors, and now there's only one thing that is pending, which is basically changing the Fresnel value of the character itself, so that it looks like this character is flashing, or the character is, we are hovering on the character. And the way we can do that, I believe, is the shader already has a Fresnel value. So we have Fresnel. So if you see YG01, where is the material? Yeah, so if you see this, there's a Fresnel value color, and if we change this, you can see that this changes basically. So what we'll do is that when we hover or when we click, we'll just change the material value of these objects. So the way we can do that is private. How will we do that? We'll need to detect this. Oh my god, I have to write a script for that particular character now. I don't want to do that because I already have a script for that, doing that. How can we do this? In a quite simple way. Alright, for now, let's just hack the hell out of it. And what we'll do is that. Okay. I'm gonna hack this. This is not a good way to do it, so please don't do it like this. So I'm going to take the mesh render or the skinned mesh render and the material. I'm gonna cache that material. And if m is not equal to null, I'm going to be like m set color. I'm going to be like, what is the color, right? Okay. Color. Color dot green. This is the worst way to do this, but still, I'm just setting the color to green for now, just to debug and see if it works. And what we'll do is here we'll cache the original color. So we'll set m dot get color, and we'll cache the original color so that we can set it back. And then we are going to set it back over here. Oh, we don't have it cached. This is a horrible way to do this, but let's do it anyways. M.set color is equal to original. Alright. Alright, there's no skinned mesh render, it seems. Why is there no skinned mesh render, bro? There is a skinned mesh render here. The skin mesh render is over here. So let's do one thing. Let's just take this bisab here from here to. Let's set this up here. I think this should work. Same thing goes for here. Move it over here. Remove this. Now it should work, I believe. Yep. Okay, so we're setting the color. So we have this working. That is not looking good. So we can change the Fresnel color. So Fresnel color, the name of the shader is. Okay, let's do that. This is how we're going to set the Fresnel. Alright, so we have the Fresnel color glowing now. We just need to fix the color itself. So now we are going to set, to get this Fresnel color, update color. We can use the public. Oh no. Get Fresnel color, and then we're going to pass the type. This. So this. For now, let's just return the glow color itself. This color to white. Now we'll have this. Instead of doing this, original color is fine. Set color, instead of setting green color, we are going to set debug DJ highlighter. Instance dot get color, get primary color. Yodha. Let's just see if this works. Yup. So this is how we are going to. So this is just the start of how we are going to do the hover for the game. I think we should have a marker on top as well so that it floats down, and then we're going to add some effects also, like a smoke or something that is coming out from the character when you hover on them, just to make it a little more animated. So that's pretty much it for the stream. So I hope you all understood how I'm going to integrate this feature, and yeah, I'll show you how it shapes up in the next stream. So thank you for joining, everybody, and see you next time.